Looks like it's working. This is fantastic.
Yay.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Heidi?
Good. It's great to have you on.
It's great to be here with you today. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you so much. So, for our viewers today, where are you logging in from? We want to see you drop some comments. I have Andrea Kitchen from our local chapter of Feeding America, Feeding Tampa Bay here today. So, how are you doing today, Andrea?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks to everybody who's watching. I'm thrilled to be here with you today.
Well, we're excited to have you because we have some big announcements today. But before we get started with that, I wanted to give you just a little bit of background information. So, Andrea works for Feeding Tampa Bay, and you can see she's in her office today, which is exciting. She is going to be sharing a little bit about what's going on with the fundraising efforts of Feeding America and her local chapter at Feeding Tampa Bay, just a half an hour drive from our corporate offices here at Lemongrass Spa. So in April, we did a fundraising effort where all of our sales consultants could get involved with their spa party hosts and customers. And we decided for every one of those party events that was submitted, home office would donate to Feeding America. Well, we were able to sponsor over 80,000 meals, over $8,000 that went to Feeding America. And of course, part of that goes to the Tampa Bay chapter right here in our local community. So I could not wait to get Andrea on live today so we could share during our fundraising efforts for the month of September where we are with those efforts. But in the meantime, Andrea has an amazing story to share. She's so involved with the community here in the Tampa, Florida area, and also wants to share what's kind of going on nationally, especially since COVID.
Yes, yes. Thank you again for having me. And I'm just gonna share my screen a little bit here. But first of all, thank you to all of your consultants. Thank you to Lemongrass Spa for what you guys are doing. Every single dollar that comes into a Feeding America food bank is exponential to our neighbors in need. And so we're just super appreciative of everything you guys are doing and the efforts that you're taking on right now. We very much appreciate it. But with that said, I really wanted to give kind of a overview just on where we're at currently in the realm of hunger nationally, and also how we're responding to that. And so that said, I'm going to share my screen here, Heidi, with everybody, because I do have a few things. I'm a very visual person, so it's helpful, I think, sometimes to have visuals that go along with it. But the first thing I wanted to share with everyone, can you see my screen, Heidi?
I sure can.
Awesome. So, we really wanted to make sure that everybody understood a little bit too that hunger happens to everyday people every day. And we have never seen this presented more than we have during COVID since March of 2020. Typically people, I think, tend to think of hunger as an issue that only affects those who are homeless or those who are in extreme poverty. And that's just simply not the case. The majority of people that we see and that we serve across the Feeding America network are working Americans, and they do have steady jobs. They are just one life situation or one crisis away from being in a food line. And never before has this been more prevalent than during COVID, where we have seen over 70% of the people in our nation's food lines who have never ever had to be in a food line before. So it's been an increase of exponential proportions, I would say. Currently, we are in a hunger crisis. Nationally, our national office has projected that 54 million people will be food insecure within the next year. That is up from 37 million prior to COVID. And what that means with food insecurity is that basically a food insecure person or neighbor just doesn't know where their next meal is going to come from, right? They're having to sacrifice food due to other costs or other barriers that they have in their lives. And so nationally at this point in time, 1 in 6 adults is currently food insecure. They do not have access to healthy, nutritious food. Currently, here in Tampa Bay, at the peak of the COVID response, we had 1.7 million people in our care, and that's just across 10 counties here in the state of Florida. So, as you can imagine, that number is staggering. But what's even more staggering is the fact that 1 in 4 children, not just in the Tampa Bay area, but nationally, are hungry each and every day. So 1 in 4 kiddos, roughly 25%, are going to bed hungry each night, are going home and not having a meal on the table, are going weekends without meals. And we've seen this increase even more due to the fact that students are maybe not in school like they typically would be, where they might typically get a free or reduced lunch or a free or reduced breakfast. They're missing out on some of those meals as well. And so our network has had to step in and try to support a whole new problem or crisis that we didn't have prior to COVID, which is students having to be home virtually doing school, and the families that already were strapped or feeling the pressure are feeling it even more so now. With that said, too, our families, we've seen a gigantic increase in unemployment rates across the nation. Here in Tampa Bay, it got as high as to 13%, which for us is just unbelievable. And so, with families out of work, the financial strain is even harder, and so they're not able to provide for their kiddos, which is heartbreaking. Um, and that brings us to the tough choices that these people are having to make. So I think, all of us, our neighbors, our coworkers, our friends, are literally just one step away from a food line, honestly. And that's something that we want to make sure everybody understands, is that people are currently having to choose between food or the other basic necessities that they have in their lives. And a lot of times, food is the easiest one to have to sacrifice, right? Because you have to have transportation to get to your job, to make money, to pay for your rent, or currently during COVID, healthcare is an even bigger concern for some folks. So they're having to spend more money on healthcare right now, which in turn takes away from the money that they might have for food on their table. So with that said, our job as the Feeding America Network, so we're a network of over 200 food banks nationwide, is to try to fill the gap as much as humanly possible. During COVID, we've had to pivot almost all of our efforts. As you can imagine, we've had to go into no contact types of distributions, which is incredibly hard when you're trying to serve meals. And so we've had to go to drive-through distributions. We've had to go to go prepared meals, frozen prepared meals nationwide. Currently in Feeding Tampa Bay, we are up to now serving 2 million meals every single week to those in need in our area. So the need is great. The response is great. But that's where, we need as much support as we can possibly get. We've seen our partnerships with, farmers and grocers and retailers, our amazing supporters are stepping up in huge ways. But when you think back to the beginning of COVID, Heidi, and you think about when you went to the grocery stores in March and there was no food on the shelves, right, for anyone who was shopping, for us, that impacted us as well. And the Feeding America Network has projected that was about a $10 billion loss in donations for us, because what many people don't understand is that food that's on the store shelves that doesn't sell actually is donated a lot of times to food banks such as ours here in Tampa Bay. And so when we didn't have that supply going into the grocery stores, the supply wasn't coming back to us either. And so there was a massive shortage in the support nationwide. And so all of the food banks have had to purchase more product than ever before right now. So as I mentioned in the very beginning of all of this, every single dollar counts. And so with you guys providing that kind of support, it is it's needed just now more than ever before.
Absolutely. So, Andrea, one of the things that we talked about is how you at the Tampa Bay and also Feeding America corporate, you guys are able to leverage donations and the inbound food so much more efficiently and effectively than if I were to, do a fundraiser and go purchase food at my local grocery store and then take it to a food bank. So tell me a little bit about that, because I know dollar to dollar, the food can go much further with the way that you guys efficiently use this program.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct, Heidi. You hit the nail right on the head. You can go to the grocery store and buy a canned good, which we are so appreciative of. That canned good is typically going to cost you about $1, and it's not necessarily high in nutritional value either. Because of our partnerships with local farmers, with those retailers and grocers, we're able to take $1 and translate that into many meals, right? So currently, right now, we're at a place where $1 equals 10 meals. Now, that does fluctuate based on the support that we are receiving from those partners, but we can get 10 meals that are nutritious meals, right? So 80% of the food that we put out into the community, we try to have that food be nutritious. So we have fresh produce, dairy, meat, bread, all of those staples that are absolutely necessary for a healthy lifestyle. We actually are distributing. So it's not your typical food pantry that you would think of a lot of times. I think people think of, boxed goods, pastas, rice, and those, as I said, those are so appreciated. They're necessary. But when it comes to long-term sustainability and health, we want to also make sure that we're supplementing with those key ingredients that are going to really make for a healthy lifestyle: meat, dairy, produce. And we're able to get that kind of product at a much lower rate than what you would get at the grocery store.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Andrea, one of the things that we've done here at Lemongrass Spa is, again, at the very beginning, I suggested that we have partnered with you and committed September, October, November, and December during the entire fall and holiday season to do some fundraising efforts so that we can give back in a way that's so meaningful. And when you look at the numbers and the statistics, the 1 in 4 children to me is staggering, 1 in 6 adults. And obviously, the need is very great. And knowing that, there's a couple things that we're doing. So, during the month of September, we decided we were going to commit to doing a 10 meals for every single event order that was placed through our sales consultants with the help of their hosts and all their spa party guests. And now we're doing all of our events online. Obviously, it's all virtual. It's either through Facebook or Zoom parties or texting events. And it's so much fun. It's very interactive. Yes, it's different than a traditional going to someone's home and looking at our products.
Right.
However, it's just as effective and very fun. And so we've had such great response to the whole initiative, Andrea, that
Yeah.
today we're announcing that because of our consultant community, we are going to be sponsoring 19,820 meals just from the month of September.
That is so awesome. Oh my gosh, that's so great, Heidi. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that makes my heart so happy. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for all of your efforts, for the fact that you did pivot everything virtually and then added on a fundraising component in the meantime as well. I'm thrilled to hear that number. That kind of impact is just incredible. So thank you.
You are welcome. It's definitely our pleasure. And one of the things that we're going to be doing this month, actually, is Andrea's several of our home office staff members right here in our Tarpon Springs, Florida facility are going to be coming to your facility and working at your food bank on October 23rd. So we'll be doing some live streaming as well as dropping some things in our stories on our Instagram and Facebook page to really put out the message of how we're trying to support your cause, but also encourage other people in their own local community. Get
Yes.
involved, help with this, especially during the holiday season. The need is so, so great. And we just couldn't be more excited to support you in all of your efforts, Andrea. Thank you so, so much.
Yes, and thank you. I look forward to seeing you guys here in the warehouse. Let me just preface that with you're going to have a really good time. We like to have fun here in our warehouse. So be prepared. It's going to be a good time. And I would also echo what you said and just encourage everybody that's watching this to find your local food bank and go and volunteer. The volunteers are truly the lifeblood of what we do. We could not do any of what we do. We could not put out those 2 million meals a week without volunteers helping us to sort the food and to distribute the food. So definitely encourage everybody to research your local food bank.
Thank you, Andrea. It was a delight having you on today, and I can't wait to announce how we're doing for the fundraiser after the end of October.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much again, and just remember too that hunger is a 365-day out of the year issue that we are currently facing, and so any help any day of the year is super appreciated.
Thank you, Andrea. Have a great rest of your day and have an awesome weekend. I can't wait to see you in person in a couple of weeks.
Yes, yes. We'll see you soon, Heidi. Thanks.
Okay, see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.